pledge allegiance to
the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looks like you're up first, Brandy.
I was like, someone left their phone.
That's
I'm sorry.
Somebody is.
It's still on. Thank you.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Where's the table?
It's me already?
I did that. I was thinking,
Oh.
what is this?
So I was just talking about some of these minutes.
Where's
Do you
Roger
guys
at? He
want to
wants to
sign
buy
them,
this
or do
thing.
you want more time to look over them if you didn't have a chance to see what you wanted to do?
What you
I
talking
read
about?
them.
I read them.
The minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If you can, Perk's gonna look at that stuff later.
Good Lord.
Hey,
Yeah, there were several.
no comment.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to get a cramp doing this.
You can do it later if you'd like.
That's okay. That's okay.
Which meeting did I miss?
It's labeled.
apparently. Okay.
Well, no, I corrected. I whited it out. So if there's not a sticky note on there, then you can sign it. And it's down where the signatures are, so you won't miss it. We'll just get caught up. It'll be fun. Well, you guys are doing that, and we can talk about claims in a minute if we need to. But our claims are the total of $2,153,527.18. And if you look in there, you will see that that dollar amount is higher than normal because there were several transfers that have done based on resolutions that were already approved that was basically just moving money. So the claims, that's what increased that claim total.
Motion to approve.
Give me a second. Let me look at the rest of them. I mean, I should at least, I want to be supposed to say, yes, I looked at it. I'm almost through.
I'm not pushing you. I just was
Right.
keeping, you know.
You guys were absent at that one, it says.
Let me know when I can go for it.
Okay, okay. So those bills Jeff had a couple of weeks, I don't know, a week or so ago for South Jefferson, they aren't in here, are they? Or are they? Yeah.
Which ones are
There's one.
Which ones are you talking about?
Well, there was just,
Oh, well, that would be part of the total too, yeah. To the contractor, I did get the email invoice from
Yeah.
the contractor, so yeah, that is a large portion as well, but I was looking more so at the transfer.
do we still owe some on that, do you think?
I believe so.
So absent for that one.
Okay, I'm good, David, I'm
I
good.
believe so.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's that. I just needed approval on the claims that were presented last week. There was an error on one of the checks that we had to void. It was one of the Jefferson and York improvement checks. It just changed the total. We had to void that section of the ones to structure plan and redo them. I think there was a duplicate in there. And there was a licensing renewal check that we'd already paid prior with credit card. So it changed that total just a little bit, but it's $507,186.10. So I just need that documented as a correction.
Motion to revise. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the next one, there was a correction to the September ledger for $777.24. It looks like there were some NSF check reversals that we had to process. And there was a duplicate credit card posting to a couple of the, there's a water, wastewater, and a light posting corrections. So there's some vouchers and insufficient funds checks there. We had to reverse. If you want to look at those at all, that's $777.24.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Week adjustments, 12/27/73. They're pretty
Motion to approve.
pretty normal.
Second.
There's
Second.
a receipt or explanation with each one of those in there as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next thing up is, I know Nick's not here, but he and I have been discussing for the past several months on the perf adjustments on behalf of the change of the terminology that perf is using for 77 fund. And they've changed that terminology that it would read the highest non-promoted officer. So there's some adjustments that I need to be making on the town's behalf, as well as the 4 officers that pertains to. Those officers have all been given their total of adjustment that they would owe back into their retirement. And then and I can give you a detailed breakdown in an email, but the town side, it looks like the contribution we need to make is $5,680.20, and that would cover the difference of the increase. We have the base salary is set at $32,000, need to be raised to $41,000 based on the terminology change from PERF. I'm waiting for PERF to give me 2 updated forms that I'll sign and submit back, but at this time, our highest non-promoted officer is at $41,000. So I would like an approval to make the adjustment to PERF on their retirement behalf of the $5,680.20, and then for each one of the officers to pay back. And the last I talked to PERF, they can be pretty flexible on that payback. So if an officer's in a position that they can't pay that total amount, the total dollar that their side is due back, do that for pay. You know, however they want to do
So
$20
moved.
or $100
Second.
or whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we will be signing a new certified salary to PERF. Again, just updating if that certified salary at the highest non-promoted changes for 23. I do know that the percentage on PERF is going to go from 17.5 to 18 for 23, so we'll have a little bit of an increase next year as well. I was asked by a member of Olive Court to bring up some signage. There's some concerns about speed limit signs in some subdivisions and slow children at play signs. I don't know if that's something that I can talk to Nick about that as well. If we need an ordinance for that, or if there needs to be an ordinance, if the speed limit just applies, is there a reason that we need to go through that? And
Do
just
they
not-
have a homeowners association or anything? Or covenant?
I don't know what they call it. I don't think it's in HOA, but I'm not sure what they call that.
Okay, I know in the county, like that covenant takes precedence over town or county stuff, so I don't know if it's.
Now, if there's any that don't have an HOA, is there a need for a resolution for a sign, or can they just be posted if the speed limit, what are we talking about, it's 30?
The speed limit is 30 if it's
Which
not
is-
posted in town. So if you're posting it for 30, you're not changing the law.
Yeah.
You're just acknowledging the law.
You go around all of court 30 miles an hour, you're.
There's an arena around there.
Yeah, I told her that I would bring it up on her behalf, mention it, but, so to get back to her, the speed limit would be 30 unless something's stated
Unless it's posted
otherwise.
otherwise.
And then there has to be like an engineer study.
Yeah.
Just need to rephrase that slow children playing.
Is it Apple?
Just so we're
I
clear
think it should
now.
be slow down children
Just so
playing.
everybody's clear on that. So for us to change a speed limit, we have to have an engineer.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's clear.
Hence, Howard Avenue's 20-mile-an-hour speed.
Exactly. So,
How does Clinton have a 29-mile-an-hour speed limit? I was always told that was done so that the ticket money from any
That is why that is.
is kept locally instead of going to the state.
Oh,
So they conceivably did an engineering study that gave them that result.
There's a laundry list of things you gotta do to change it.
Mhm.
I believe an engineering study was one of them. Then you can change it to 29, and the town would receive that money instead of the other one back.
I think we should consider doing something like that.
they must write a lot of tickets because they pay their police chief $92,000 a year.
They are over twice populated. Don't they? They have a much bigger population.
Clinton itself doesn't have a huge,
Well,
that much
Fairview is not part of Clinton. They have their own police department, don't they? Does Fairview have their own police, or they use Clinton?
marshal or something. I don't think Clinton's that much itself is that much bigger anymore, but they've got a lot more industry.
I don't know.
well, since Nick's not here, Jeff,
Population.
Oops, sorry. We're good.
Good.
Did you
I've
get
already got him taken care of. Let's see, Community Crossings 2022-1, still pending closeout. 2022-2, I'll let you know when the award is made on that. IMPA's still doing pole replacements. They had a pretty good clip. We're pleased with what they're doing there. I have submitted by email to everyone the budgeting staffing numbers that I've put together. If you noticed, I've been a lot heavier on staffing than I have been other things for you to take a look at. And, you know, it's a starting point. Keep in mind that I haven't put any solid numbers in a few places. I know Brandy's got her own thing going with her office, and I just threw some numbers in there, but I'm sure she'll want to take a look at that and narrow it down a little bit, but I left that kind of open. Water improvement project. Water surveys were sent out to the press for a new Okra application. I think last time I heard we've only had about 50 or 60 responses from that. Did do a TV interview with one of the local news outlets and tried to get the word out that way. It's also been out to Waxy. If I don't know if Michael, if Bill, you've put that out on your town site, or Jim or Randy. If you haven't and you'd like to, I'd appreciate it. Just the water survey information. Another way of getting it out to folks. And then we have the meeting for that tomorrow night also. On the PE for the water improvement project, Roger is addressing the mapping issues and the PE report on the T&M basis. And don't know what that'll be. I don't think it'll be a whole lot. He came out and shot some meters and some valves, I think, with his GPS, so he can make the maps prettier for the application process. But I just need board approval or acknowledgement for that.
What's he trying to establish with his mapping, Jeff?
It was one of the things that Okra said that we didn't have, but we did have. It just wasn't pretty enough for him.
They wanted it in color. They
Yeah.
wanted certain
Color?
things, yeah, marked.
Okay.
So, and it was
Yeah.
in color. What he gave him was in color, and it had headings on it, but they didn't score it that way. It was an interesting process.
Well, you know, part of the problem is we're doing a lot of meters and what, hydrants, and that's not something that they need to see the need for it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's part of the survey process too, is trying to tie it back to the end user, the consumer.
Well, aren't some of the meters we're replacing, or the hydrants, aren't they non-functional?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, shouldn't that by definition be
You would think
urgent,
so.
needy?
You would think so, but
To me, for
it's
the
like
town,
Cindy
not
said, you have to
necessarily.
write this thing as if you're writing
Yeah,
it
I know. It was ridiculous.
to a very low literacy person, is what they basically said.
Kindergartner.
Okay.
Write it so that anybody could understand.
Write it, so, okay.
Yep. So again, I need to, like to at least let you guys know that. If you don't want to approve it, at least acknowledge it. That's up to you.
I'll make a motion
I
to
think if it's
approve.
gonna help the process, then
Yep, I moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Brian Hood did send something out late on Friday about 401 new sewer expansion. However, there is no change to that. The contractor is still having a lot of trouble getting materials updates from his suppliers. So that's really no real change in status. I did go ahead and tell him to what colors we went with ash blue ash base and a blue roof. Hope that's okay with everybody. I think ash was pretty common among everybody for the base, and being Rockville, I kind of went with blue for the roof. So, again, I hope that's okay with
Are we
everybody.
black now?
No, we're
Rockville's always blue.
Well, I thought we're not
Yeah,
rock.
that's Park Heritage.
Yeah.
not. We're
They're
the
black
town of
and
Rockville.
silver.
The Rockville.
Oh, well, you're right. We have the blue logo. So, yeah, it goes.
Yep. Jefferson Street project, we still have the 2 light poles that need to go up. We did get the new parking lot curb set. Appreciate Luke coming over.
So, what's the deal on the south side, Jeff? Those the bumpers seem to be
On the south side.
on the south side of the lot next to the blacktop. They seem like they're in quite a ways. Are they on our line, or are they back off the line some?
They're back off the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think eventually we're going to put curbs back there too. So that's why
Yeah.
we're offset a little bit. We get
Okay.
those curbs in there. And also we got our charging stations that go in back behind those little curbs too. So
Okay.
we wanted to give it a little bit of room, but I think it's worked. And Doug also got some of the angle parking on York Street done. He got about half of it before things went nuts. So we'll get the other half down after the festival.
So you'll finish that out down
Yes.
towards.
Yes.
Has the parking lot been pretty full?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
They've been utilized quite well.
Your neighbor at Hog Heaven wanted me to ask if it would be any difficulty to paint angle parking in front of his shop. I said I didn't know, but I'd ask. I don't know if there's enough
I don't think there's enough
room.
right away
I don't
for
know if the
that.
statute would be on that.
Doesn't look like there's no room for that.
I wouldn't think so, but I told him I'd ask.
There's a clear definition for it in the statute, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Okay. If you could dig it up or shoot me in the right location, I can go measure it and certify that. Thank you. South Market Street, we did get an update from Ken Olson. The electric department's going to start clearing trees down on South Market where the little holler is for pole replacement. We've got to cut a little bit back. Structure Point will hire somebody to do the majority of cleaning out through that ditch for right-of-way reconstruction, but right-of-way clearing. But we want to do a little bit of it so that we're not dropping that stuff right on our lines. We want to make sure we have control of that. So Brett will start working on it. And our local quarterly report has been submitted to NDOT. It should be okay. I think I've got November 14th or 15th scheduled with Susie Kemp to meet with her on that. Everything seems to be going pretty good. Jefferson Street, I just talked about that. Charging station information, we're ready to do the pre-work on that. Again, we'll wait until after the Bridge Festival at this point. Jackson Voorhees and Beetle project still on the books, but we're still pending the next steps regarding funding and scope of work, reference sewer and water. I know Park and London to keep that on there just so we keep
Right, we
it
need
in
to keep
mind.
it active, and we've invested quite a bit already in design and time. Well, the only way we're gonna fund it is to split the two projects, go through crossing and use that 500,000 to the American Rescue Fund as a 25% match. We could get up to $1 million total for project. And then we have the other issue, the sewer and the water, and okay, we do that, what's the cost there? There's more engineering work to do there. So, we need to decide. I mean, it's a worthy project, needs to be done. There'd be 2 more streets that, basically talking a total rebuild.
Yeah.
They sure need it. So, I mean, it's a worthy project. That's how I kind of justify going further down the rabbit hole to see what we can do.
Yeah. I know the last thing we looked at was video inspection of the
Right, we looked at
lines
that,
down
and it was going to be like 70,000, and we thought,
yeah,
well,
70 or 77.
before we approve to do that, let's just talk about.
Yeah.
And no one's really said anything here. No one's thrown anything yet, so that's a good sign. But, you know, should we replace the sewer on those streets, and should we do the water lines? To me, it makes perfect sense to do it. I mean, yeah, it's more expensive, but every 100 years, probably should do that. So, somebody want to jump in?
Well, no, I agree with you. I don't know what,
Okay.
I mean,
It seems logical.
yeah, I mean, it's senseless to camera them. I mean, there's gonna be a project coming up they'll be cambered, and we'll have access to that. I'll make sure of that. So, I mean, but I'm sure that those.
Well, you know, the Stormwater Board
Yeah.
basically sent, Kevin couldn't be here tonight, but he, you know, it's something we brought to the board, like, I believe, last week. You know, that was their suggestion, that if we're gonna do this, we should just do it all. So I guess the next step would be for this board to contact Roger and say, okay, now we're thinking about just doing the whole thing. And splitting it into, well, the stormwater and street have to be split separate on both streets. And,
So do stormwater first and then do streets?
well, no, we do the projects all together, but the funding would be from multiple sources. Community crossing would just be street and stormwater, and the sewer would be from sewer and water from water. But just like they did Jefferson, it's fascinating to watch how they go in and do that. They basically, sewer's the first thing gets done, and the sidewalks last. So I guess we need to talk to Roger. The board's willing to do that, and say, okay, this is what we think. It splits project into. We'll do.
Are you talking sidewalks on just one side?
I think we should do it in both if we can. I mean, it's only 80,000 savings in sidewalks, so we do it just on one side. It's not that big a savings when you're looking at a 1.9 million project just for stormwater and sidewalks and
I'm just
street.
thinking right away. Yeah.
Well, and again, we're not using. I think that's something to look into, but I don't think it's not federal money. We have the right of way where it is basically. We don't have to prove it to anybody like we did on Market and South and Howard because that was federal money came through NDOT and they're very particular. I think we're okay there.
And those houses sit
So-
pretty close to the road.
Yeah.
On Voorhees more than
Yeah.
Jackson.
So some unknowns there, but the board's willing to request Roger to go that route. Yeah, I think that's what we should do, and to start looking at what the kind of, hate to look at the cost, but we have to look at what the cost would be for the sewer and for the water, and split them in two. And 1 year you go in and try to do all in one street. Next year you go in and try to do all on the other street.
But you and Roger, you kind of talked preliminary about this anyways, haven't you?
Yes, we've talked about that it might evolve into this, but that it would be a process since we're working with two separate entities, well, kind of two separate entities, the storm board and the town council. So,
I mean, was he looking at, since we were looking at putting sidewalks in, was he thinking about putting gutters in and?
yeah, curbs and
Okay.
gutters and
So we're gonna do away with on-street parking up there?
That's my understanding.
that would be the,
I just wanna make it clear that that's
would be
what we're
the
going
issue.
for, so.
Yeah,
Here
I
we
know,
go
I
again.
know, I know, but the stormwater is what tears up your streets, and if you control that, it's hard to control that with on-street parking, I think. I don't know. What do you think,
I
Steve?
think it's worthwhile investigating.
Yeah.
We're there, we're gonna have things tore up anyway, so.
We have no tear out a
more.
street for total
Yeah.
rebuild. Why not do the darn sewer and
Yeah,
water
so
while you're at it?
there's no sense tearing the new street out to fix the other problem.
Yeah, we keep having that. Some other spots.
So you wanna make a motion on that?
Well, I'll move all that junk, all that stuff I just suggested.
So would you like for me to engage Roger in developing a work order for a PER on water and sewer?
Yeah.
That would be Parks motion, yes.
Yes, that's it. And then to split the two streets in two separate projects for funding purposes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Would you like a cost estimate with this PER?
Oh, I suppose we should, just to be.
Yeah, we'd like one.
Somewhere between $2 and
We
$3
know what
million.
we know.
Not to exceed.
Pretty much, it's what it's going to be. What it's going to be. But yeah, they need two separate projects. He understands community crossings. I'm sure, and he understands why we're doing that.
Whatever it is, it'll be more than the estimate.
It is.
Depending on when the construction occurs.
You're gonna have them quoted separate though. Separate them out.
Yeah, there'll be like one project be Jefferson, one be not Jefferson, darn it, Voorhees, and one be Jackson.
Probably
Okay.
over 2 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. So more information.
Which we'll have to have, you can only have what? 2 Okra grants going at the same
Well, I wouldn't
time.
be at Okra, I'd be community.
Oh, okay.
And we use Okra for the others,
That's
and
right.
that's another issue there. But yeah, we'll have to see what the cost's going to be, and which we'll probably be looking for Okra.
Just for your information, Jeff, you can pass on to Roger, there will be a gas project bid out.
Okay. And that, I know that's Stark, and
Should be Jackson, Voorhees, I think.
yeah. And you say they are going to do storm water videoing or sewer?
They'll do sanitary,
They'll do sanitary.
for sure. If there is storm up there, they'll do storms too.
Okay.
So we can get that information from them.
Excellent. And that's that one fellow you sent me his contact information on that was up here on High Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. UMAC, they got the Voorhees hydrant replaced. Appreciate that from them. They also have a request to get our cat generator block heater repaired. If you remember right, we had them come out and do a service on it. Repair to the block heater from W.W. Williams is $3,003.81.
Wow.
If I could have approval to get that repaired. Bruce would
That's where's that?
appreciate it.
Where is that down at the sewer?
Yeah, it's a sewer plant. That's the big ass cat.
We get that from the Newport Army Ammunition. I think it's the one that we have donated. Remember years
I
ago?
think so.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
I couldn't tell you that word.
Well, it's good to have it start.
Yeah, Bruce was a little concerned about it because the weather's going to obviously start getting cold. And
I'll move.
Real cool.
Second.
Okay,
All
thank
in
you.
favor?
Aye.
I'll let him know. We still get time to get our decorative lights down at Beechwood put up, and Doug is planning on doing fast-paced urgent care hookup. He's talked with them; they're not in a huge hurry, but we're going to get that done this week. So,
They're moving quick on that. Yeah, they are. I heard there's one going in over at Clinton.
I think they've got 4 that they're trying to get done.
That'll hurt unions, yeah.
We were laying brick tonight.
Dang.
That's
So I've got. Thank you.
Bill?
So I have, first number 1 is Hannah's uniforms for the academy. They don't wear the same uniform we wear. They have a black polo and khaki
Of
pants.
course they do.
She also has to have sweatsuit, shorts, and t-shirt. Another sweatshirt to wear over her polo shirts because she's going to be going in the wintertime. And she also needs a charger for her computer so that she can take her computer inside and have, they do some of the class work automated on the computer. We've got the charger for her computer in the car, but we don't have one that goes inside the building. I feel like we can get all that for under 500.
Do we need to revisit, like Jeff has a spending limit, do we want to give Bill something, where he can purchase items without having to wait for the board approval up to X amount?
Well, what am I suggesting? What do you suggest, Bill?
Well,
2,500?
I was going to say, I think mine's about 2,500.
Well, I don't have any problem with it in theory. I know that became a problem with the previous administration. I don't think it'll be here. I feel bad these small things have to wait for the approval, definitely. It's kind of silly.
You want to do that, please?
I made that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
To be used with discretion.
Well, if you have a question, just wait and bring it. So we're, close 25.
right.
Sanitizer, you don't want to go there.
All the rest of this is going to be all that kind of stuff. There's tires for Hannah's vehicle. The hard drive in one of the computers is getting ready to crash. We're going to need to replace that. There's a charger in that same computer that's fraying that's going to need replaced. Lexipol, we have a renewal.
What is that again? I've heard it. I don't
So
remember.
Lexipol is Police One Academy, and actually we have two different things with Lexipol because we also have Lexipol that does our policies and procedures. But this particular Lexipol is so that officers can go into the office, do their training. We don't have to pay for them to go for somewhere for our 24-hour yearly requirement. Now, if somebody needs to become an instructor or something, then we're going to send them away, and there may be room and board.
So
involved in
basically, it
that.
covers its cost, just not having to send someone
Yes.
out of town.
Business cards, IDs, that's going to be less than probably $60 combined. We had to have Cameron's window replaced during training. It got broke. There's a crack along it. I've asked Randy to get us some paper. One thing I did want to discuss, we haven't had anybody apply yet, but I'd rather bring it to your attention now before than later and get your thoughts. If we have an academy graduate apply, then we're not going to have to wait for them to get through a lot. I mean, there's still going to be an initial training, but it's not going to be near like it would if they were like, in Hannah's situation where she really didn't have a lot of knowledge. They're going to go to work a lot faster, so they would ideally probably be worth more. And I had put on here a request to bring them up to $1,000 less than Cameron if they have the academy.
I'm good with it. Motion to approve.
Well, where are we taking Hannah if she gets to the academy? Where are we going with that?
I had requested in the budget
Yes, I
to bring
remember.
her up to, I believe, 38.
I don't have an issue with it. We made a motion. So
Well, I guess just for I don't either. I mean, we are competing with
we can get
everyone.
into that in budget
Yeah.
session.
We're competing with everyone around us, and
Maybe
if
it'll
we're
be
not
more.
competitive,
Yeah.
and if we don't do something, we will have
No
no
one.
one. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'll
I
second.
agree. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The vehicles, I had approached you about that, sent you an email. Basically, I guess one of the biggest things about the vehicles is if we order them now, we may get them around the end of January. If we wait till after November, we're probably not going to get them until May, June. We were looking at possibly having to worry about the Tahoes, but Ian, through his expert sleuth work, has been able to find some brake pads.
What was the deal with the rotors, Ian? Were they shot?
The rotors can be turned on those Tahoes.
Yeah.
The problem with the parts for those Tahoes was nobody had any available in the aftermarket side of the world, and General Motors didn't have any to send to dealerships to sell to put on cars, and GM said, oh, by the way, it's $2,500 if we have them, which I think is very cost prohibitive. I found a company called Dynamic Friction in California that does make them, and a set of pads all the way around the car.
How much?
110. I took the gamble to see if they fit, and I just ordered them myself, and they shipped, and they showed up today, and they're the right ones. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Phew. Yeah, Jiminy Crickets.
Yeah. So okay. So
And then I
anyway,
did also, I'm sorry, Park. I did find an agency that had just totaled one that had very low mileage on it, and talking to them, we got brake pads for a car because it was getting ready to go to the junkyard. So,
Well, goody for us. Can we just buy it for parts?
no, it's like missing doors.
Oh,
And,
dang.
so we have 2 Tahoes. I trying to remember what your proposal was, Bill. You had four.
So you were looking at
Four Explorers.
keeping the Tahoes, keeping one of the Fords, and
Yeah, keep one of the Fords.
Keep mine, trade in Hannah's and the 2 pickups. That would, before trade-in, that would bring us down to, let's figure out.
52, 51, what was it?
That's the freaking fast. I printed it all. Here it is. So, that would bring it to, depending on if you wanted to go 5 years or 4 years. 5 years would make it a payment of $51,000 a year. Now, I called back up there because I thought when I talked to Ian that he'd asked, and then he'd asked me to clarify it, and I did. That did not have the push bar on the front or the scene light. For less than $2,000 per vehicle, they'll put that on. So that's an extra right around $8,000. I've seen when we put those push bars on and we get in a wreck, those things have stopped the Explorers from being totaled. So for $2,000, it's quite the investment.
That's before trade, right?
That's before trade, and then they sent. It was like $5,000, I think, and that's sight unseen. It could change, but it was.
The pickup was probably 5.
No, the Ford was 5, I think.
Oh.
the Ram was 22, and I think the Chevy was like 28.
Yeah. So basically, it looks like just about 1 year worth of the payments. Like if you did 5 payments, 1 year would be paid for with trade-in, provided they give us.
But do we want to go 5? I mean, 4.
4 would be 62 a
Well,
year.
Don't
Okay.
cars, I mean, don't we usually,
huh?
But still before trade, though.
That's before trade.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking we're going to do okay. So every either in 4 or 5 years, we would have to do another 4 vehicle thing. But in 4 years, these vehicles will
They'll
probably
have a
have
lot of
120,000 to 40,000 miles, won't they? So you probably want to
would
go
say
shorter,
4.
don't you? I mean, that's just what I'm thinking.
and now we're talking 4 instead of all of them.
Yes, just 4. If we can get parts for the Tahoe, we really didn't want to get rid of them, but if we couldn't get parts for them, we were kind of worried about having paperweights at the department.
And those things, what about it? They've been on the road a year. How long have we had them?
Probably one of them a year.
11 months.
Yeah.
On the one that I had in
So we have another 3 years, roughly. So that'd put the two on. Yeah, we'd have 2 and 3 years, and we have 4 years.
Or you could just wait and do all 6 at one time.
We could see where you're at in a few years, but so what about the service thing? We have to take them.
No,
we do the service. We do our basic.
We
service.
do our service. What I was trying to get that day, and sorry for the confusion, I believe you have to take it to you'd have to take it to Andy Moore for the first oil change, and I'm not 100% sure on that. I know there was some confusion when we bought the ones from Fort Wayne that it had to be a Chevy dealer for the first oil change, and we went to Allsops and had to pay for the oil change because it was cheaper than paying somebody to drive
go
to
up
Fort
there.
Wayne and come back.
Okay.
So just that initial oil change, and it's a lot closer.
But in terms of service, so like normal consumables, brakes, tires, oil changes, we would be okay to do that service. But anything drivetrain wise or air conditioning, anything like that would be covered under the manufacturer warranty. So Ford would be paying for it anyway, and that would not be something we'd be
Well,
responsible
speaking about financing for this, guys, Bill talked about, presented some stuff a few weeks ago in one of his mails about paying for this out of here, or paying for that out of there, or, general fund versus public safety fund. But, reality is public safety fund will never have enough money to cover expenses for vehicles and all the other stuff they need. The biggest single item in there is vehicle purchases. So I'm just suggesting we pay for vehicles out of general fund and try to keep everything else in the public safety fund, and then see how that works out. Even though we really can't use that public safety fund for about another year because it needs to build back up.
Did you see where we are? And then with our settlement.
And could I
predicting
suggest
about where
maybe
we'll be.
not now, but moving forward, we even see about, like as vehicles need
Yeah.
replaced, all of our vehicles maybe go into a lease, because the more you lease, probably the less it costs. So as we need to replace just utility trucks and things like that.
We need to see what we're getting next year.
Right.
Well, you don't want to. Well, we were just talking about that a minute ago. It'd be 4 years and 3 years and 4 years. But maybe in that we could keep Tahoes next year and just go all 6 vehicles.
Yeah. Or even, I'm saying, if as we need utility vehicles per se.
Well, I keep these for utility.
No.
No.
What?
In addition,
Purchase,
In
I think
addition-
she's
Leasing
saying
it.
utility vehicles.
Oh, I don't know.
Rather than purchase.
I don't
Because the
know.
more you lease, the more you save. It's more of a fleet.
I think her point was just investigate the cost.
Check and see.
Well, I don't know.
I said
We
not
don't
right
put
now.
we don't put nearly the miles on utility vehicles. I don't think that the police do. We can buy a utility vehicle, and we've kept some 20 years, whereas these guys are doing 30,000 plus a year. So I don't think it makes sense, but it's an idea, Liddy.
Knowledge is power.
Well, knowledge is good if it's based. Well, anyway, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, that's just my suggestion. Looking at the numbers, that we should just do the vehicles, pay for those out of the general fund, and try to isolate all those other expenses.
Is that a motion that we should move forward with the leasing option?
Oh yeah, I move.
Second.
Unless
All in favor?
Aye.
For 4 years. 4 years.
I think
4
4 years
years.
is the way to go. And they pretty much all the equipment's on there except those bars. I mean, you got your lights.
Well, that will be on there too with that
Okay.
extra 2,000 per vehicle. There'll be a bar with scene lights and.
But we won't have to
dollar
take it to
sign.
that one company that does this. all.
Actually, they're the ones that.
they're the ones doing it.
Yeah, but it's already included in the price.
So these are coming
and
from
then-
Andy Moore? Is that right?
And then there's an additional.
What color are they?
They're the same color as the Tahoes.
Oh, really?
Oh, good.
It's a nice color.
And
Yeah.
then, of course, we'll have to send them. I sent that quote about Franken Fast, and that's.
Yeah.
I got the quote right here. It's like $300 some dollars.
Do you want to include the extra in your motion, the extra money, the 2,000 per vehicle for the
Yes.
push bars and
Well,
lights?
yeah, all
And the
that
Can I
decals,
just say that
yes.
completely outfit that?
completely outfitted. Yes.
And Bill, did you say it was 61 for 4 years before trade? I know I
No,
got that email, but I just
It's
Yeah.
62, 387.19
62, 387.19 prior to trade.
prior to trade and prior to the adding the howler, the
Add
scene
the
light,
80
and
to
the.
that.
Well, part of my motion also be we're paying for this out of general fund.
I got
We
that.
should say where we're going to pay. Okay.
Yeah, I got that too.
Okay.
And continue that through the end of the year, right? I mean, you're not talking about moving anything, doing
No.
anything here
No.
right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was-
Are they 6 cylinders? V6.
no. Oh, the Fords are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tahoes.
Tahoes are
okay.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they get
Turbo
horrible mileage.
No, the turbo engine is much more expensive,
I'm just curious.
but it is a little more fuel efficient, and it also has about.
So we can keep the
400
Tahoe
horsepower.
for the K9 unit,
Yes.
Yeah,
and we won't have to worry about that for a while. Okay.
because that cage is $10,000 for that dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Bill.
do we do with the other cage again?
It's upstairs.
I didn't know if we gave it away with the dog or not.
No, we still have the cage.
Where are we at here?
So the last thing I have, I handed out those. I got these the last board meeting. I got these like right before I walked in the door. So I actually printed off
It's
a copy
not like
of
just
it.
one uniform for each person. It includes a lot of stuff, including the badges, right?
Right.
Everything except the bicentennial badge.
Right, and this also includes a Class A uniform, so like Hannah graduates the academy, it's tradition that you would wear a dress uniform, not your standard everyday wear, but you dress up, you wear your medals, your hat, all that, your shiny shoes, all that kind of stuff. If you kind of like you'd be going to a wedding or a funeral or something, you want to have that. And what we priced on here is for all 6 full-time officers. We haven't priced for the reserves and stuff. And the thought would be to get the reserves. The uniform pants would be staying the same color, the gray, so they could transition if we needed to buy them pants. We could buy them pants as needed and not have to just run out and okay. The shirts would be changing color from blue to black, so you're really not going to see a big difference. The patches are going to be pretty much the same, with the exception of we won't have whatever that. It's supposed to be the seal, but it doesn't look like the seal. And this would be silver instead of gold.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Alright. So this is all 6, yeah, 666. Yeah. Well, that's good. What about our part-time folks? What are we gonna have to do with those down the road?
So the part-time guys will get one shirt. They'll have to get one long sleeve shirt, one short sleeve shirt. They're still going to wear the gray pants they've got. And
Okay.
Normal wear and tear. If somebody, rips their uniform or something, we're going to have to replace it no matter what uniform we're in. But doing the pants, we're trying to save money and keep the same pants. And as you wear them out, then we'll get you the nicer pair. But right now, the only thing the full-time and the reserves will need different is the shirts. And we won't need any of that until the patches are made. So it may actually go into next year before we actually buy anybody any shirts or anything.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Is that all you got, Bill?
That's it.
Ian, you got anything?
No,
Is that it?
Title 4.
Title 4.
Oh, yeah. Just a reminder, the town of Rockville is an equal opportunity employer. We also abide by ADA and Title 4 compliance issues. If citizens require alternate means of accessing board meetings or the public records, they may call me at 765-592-4999.
Good to know. Say that stormwater issue over there on Jackson with the collapsed pipe.
Yeah, we'll
You
get
got that on your radar? Okay. Jeff sent out some really interesting stuff from the town of Waterloo last week, I think it was. I spent a little time with it and kind of got busy with this little thing called the festival. But really interesting stuff. I don't know if anybody else really looked at the matrix they had for wages for all the different departments. And it'd be nice to start trying to implement that down the road. It's going to take some work, but it's better than just grabbing numbers like we historically have.
I think with new employees, as we hire,
Well, yeah,
develop
but our
that
existing
matrix,
workspace,
it just kind of gives them and us a little bit of information on what they can expect in the future.
and speaking of stuff of that nature, let's. This is our last meeting of the month, isn't it? Yeah.
After festival.
Huh?
Whatever you're suggesting is after.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Our next meeting, I will not be present, but soon thereafter, we need to start. I mean, we already know what our tax-based funds are, and that's a given. It's just the reg utilities. I guess what you all need to do, because you can have a budget meeting without me. I don't have to be here.
Oh, but we'd love to hear you
No,
talk
you
about
don't.
numbers. And your printouts, we couldn't do
The
it.
printouts, and I use Caller, and I don't charge.
I know.
But well, I guess a couple points, folks. You know what our revenue situations are, and you know that we need to look at some rate issues, and we need to look at our beginning wage in
We have to change it, that's all.
about all departments. So I mean, there's going to be some serious discussions there. Not going to be fun, never is. But we need to look at beginning wage and utilities. I mean, Jeff's does. I mean, I think we all know it's. And utilities just for neighboring towns. It's $3 higher, $2.50, $3 higher than what we start. Same thing, police department. I've got that the newspaper article from what the county's doing with their public safety. And we got to be competitive with our people across the highway. We will not be able to retain.
We've got a good force, we need to keep it.
Well, yeah, and we really going to have to start looking at that.
And we've got some loyal employees that deserve some.
You know, they had longevity in that. I think Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, Waterloo, they had some longevity incorporated into the matrix, did they not?
They did. They did.
Yeah.
I think some of the lower levels had some basic type of certifications that they could get. You know, I think CDL was one of them. I don't know that we have a high requirement for CDLs other than in the electric department, really.
Right.
But, yeah, they had successful completion of 1, 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you can even tie that to performance. There was one of those in there as well, in which your review was, if it was excellent, it was 2% or 3%.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between just sticking around.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, until we get through October and get the financials, it's really kind of. I like to see what we've done for revenue for say through 10 months, and then figure out what we did for the year, see where that's at compared to our expenses, back out unusual expenses if there were. I don't think there were really many this year.
fuel,
But
Sewer.
sewer and
so
fuel.
until mid-November, we really won't have that information anyway. That'll give us 6 weeks to hammer out the utilities and figure out some
To
things.
Thanksgiving Day.
No, not Thanksgiving Day. We'll meet again the 7th, but soon after the 7th. Why don't we just set it now for the 14th, and you think you can have the month of October closed out and before then, we can.
11:14,
Yeah,
5 o'clock,
5 o'clock be our
budget workshop.
budget workshop. But anyway, back to the county. The commissioners had a thing, or was it council?
Council.
Oh, anyway, council. They had a thing in the newspaper talking about how they're paying their officers. You probably understand it better than I do, but so we should probably talk to you more about what they're doing to see what we can do to be on par. At one time, we were 500 more than the county, and
I remember that.
that went away. They didn't like that.
No.
But I did. So it's nice to at least be on the same.
Ballpark.
Well, yeah. One more thing. Darn it. Well, it goes back to these alarms. When we did that ordinance bill
Yes.
for alarms at businesses, I know there were some businesses that had it going off 2-3 times a month, and then there's. If it goes off just once for somebody that hadn't had one for a year or two, I mean, we're still billing them whatever it is we bill.
It's $50.
Yes.
And that's how it was set up, was just if you have a false alarm. Now, if they call in and say, hey, that's a false alarm, don't come, and we can verify who we're talking to, it's the homeowner or the business owner, and they're like, hey, that's a false alarm, sorry, and we don't go check it out.
Well, I know there's been a couple businesses, apparently it's gone off. They haven't had it go off for a long time, and they're not. It's kind of given us some bad public relations, to put it.
I believe we talked about doing something different also with that.
Well,
Initially.
Any suggestions that, how we might, because I kind of understand what they're saying. It's like, gee whiz, I haven't had it go off for 4 or 5 years and went off, and all of a sudden I got a bill, and most of them don't read what our ordinances are. And it's it's bad PR. Bad PR for us and you. And
I would say, since we're billing through, and I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but since we're billing through Brandy, I don't know if she has a way where she keeps track of who gets billed. If we just send those CADs in, if you've got somebody that you don't already have a CAD on, then just send them the bill. That first one would just be a warning that you could, contact me and say, hey, go tell them that this time was a warning, or you send them a thing saying this is a warning, any future.
I think you have to amend the ordinance.
We
to
would
reflect
have
that.
Would we?
I like that idea better
But
than it being, just my decision
And you
to
could-
base
you're gonna
that
have-
upon looking to
But
see
it's
whether
a,
they've been charged
but it
or
would be
not.
like a one-time warning. It's not like,
Right.
oh, okay.
well, they need to know, who would they call? Would they call dispatch out at the jail?
I would prefer they call the sheriff's department because they have 24-hour dispatch.
Because
instead of
the alarm companies always make first contact with the owner, and they have the option then to make that call. That at least puts the ball back in their court to prevent. That's a good idea, and then also it educates them. Oh, maybe not know the ordinance. Well, now they know.
And we can also check the cab too to verify if we've been there before.
And if we amend the ordinance,
Well,
just put
it's
it
something
out
that
on
came
social
up
media.
more than once, and I thought, okay, I'll mention it.
I would suggest they get one warning per year, so like one free one a year.
Yeah.
Like you said, somebody hasn't had it go off for 4 years, so it goes off this year, we give them a warning, and 4 years later they have it again, and then they get a ticket for it. That doesn't seem...
I would say you're right. That way, it makes it easier for us to research it too, because we don't want to be going back 10 years to see.
Right. So we need to modify the ordinance to reflect those things. So one freebie a year.
So we
Calendar
could
year.
make that, we could
Calendar
make
year.
that motion and just direct Nick to amend the ordinance.
Did you move?
I did.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. That's reasonable.
You asked about the changing the speed limit. If you go to n.4u.com,
In dot for you.
it's actually done. The study's done by the NDOT engineer. I don't know if there's a fee involved with that or not, but that's who does the study is the NDOT.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure if we're gonna do that, there'll be plenty of public hearings about it, and especially if we're gonna knock it down to 20 or 25 mile an hour, which,
I like
Through-
29.
I mean, and I'm not trying to say that city streets aren't any different than a subdivision, but, I mean, like you said, going through all of Court 30 miles an hour is
Well,
a
that's
pretty
a
good
little
clip. Or going
crazy
through your
dangerous.
neighborhood at 30 miles an hour is a
They're
pretty good
faster
clip,
than
so,
30, so
I mean,
much faster than that.
but I'm good with the way it is right now, so.
Oh yeah, and also apparently we need an ordinance on our parking lot that we need to get Nick to work on, because if we don't have an ordinance, you can't enforce anything. I mean, basically it would say no overnight parking. It's not a storage lot. It's for day parking.
No blocking of the entrance.
And don't block the
Are people
entrance.
parking overnight?
Well, yes, but I'm not sure. Well, yes, they were. I guess flat out they were. But I'm not even sure that the owner of that particular vehicle was aware that where it was. I mean, they never drive it. They have employees that drive it, I believe. So I don't know that situation there. But apparently we need to have that, because I'm sure it'll come up. You know how things are. Well, there's a nice lot. I think I'll put my RV here for a while. Park my boat here.
Plug it in.
People do this. Common sense is not what it used to be. It's not common anymore.
It's a rare
It's not
commodity.
common anymore. Good. So anything else you want Nick to do? He's not here, so. Let's- You know, it's interesting, that Waterloo study, or crossing guards do quite well in Waterloo. I was amazed. Did you look at that?
I did. But some of them were not paid very well at all, I thought.
Well, I don't know. I didn't get through everybody, but I was running some numbers based on weekly, bi-weekly, and yeah. The guards were. I see we have another guard working on I-36.
Yes.
It's Chris Fisher's sister, isn't it?
Yes, Tiffany Fisher.
Oh, good. Well, I'll shut up.
How's festival? Anything exciting happening?
It's been a nice festival.
Good.
Then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
What about post-prom profit?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, post-prom profits. Since there was really no volunteers from the city side of this, and I do have a little bit of support from a member or two from the safety commission that they would like for the profits of the parking to go to the school. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I mean, I'll make a motion if I have to.
Well, they're doing all the work. We're
I
not.
couldn't agree more. I mean,
And we're going to share the profit. We should probably have some people helping, staffing. They had it good the first few days. Boy, today they're freezing out.
I think it was a good idea initially, to help support public safety funding as well. But I have found out that there are other businesses that are letting facilities use their parking lot, and they're not taking any profits back from that. So, I mean, the 36th Lane,
Right.
they're not taking a profit back from the church for letting them use that parking lot. When First Financial Bank was in business here, they didn't accept any profiting back
Yeah.
for it. So, just I know in a previous meeting we did. You did vote to split that, but if somebody
Well.
would like to make a motion that the post prom take 100%
Somebody
of
move it.
those proceeds.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You guys.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. Good.
Okay, since
Now you can.
we've
Now.
got everything covered, haven't we?
My motion remains in effect.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.